Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And Bryan, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see my team won a loss. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, too tired. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, we know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is on the road taking care of business, or he may be still celebrating that his youngest son, I don't know if he's celebrating because he knows he is that close to being an empty nester, or if he's celebrating the fact, as you all know, his son played lacrosse at Barton College over there in North Carolina, and they are part of the Coastal Carolina Conference. And they won the tournament championship, so they earned their automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So I wanted to shout out to Mike and give him some love, as well as Justin, as we're all proud in terms of what him and his team have achieved. With that being said, welcome to episode 807 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Radio Show and Podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Cavil, along with my co-hosts. Again, today it'll just be Charles Bishop. I might have some people joining, but we'll see what that looks like. But if not, we'll hold it down. We'll film from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's go ahead and bring Charles Bishop on. Let me ask you, Charles, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Doc. I'm doing well. Coming in for another Tuesday here on the Sports Lab. So looking forward to getting into some softball. Probably looking at some look back and what happened with baseball this past weekend. But fun times as we here at the end of the semester. Graduation is right upon us.
Yeah, and as you talk about fun times, we can give some updates on some of these tournaments in the news as we get going. We will have a championship game in the HBCU that will feature a team in Talladega that will be going in unscathed, as they say, meaning lose 2. While you have Houston-Tillotson. So we got the matchup that we wanted in terms of the championship game, and kudos to both teams because the number of teams playing baseball in the HBCU and the way the NAA does it, that after you get to a threshold, I believe it's 10, 12 teams, and you get 2 automatic bids to the tournament. And in this case, the champion will go as well as the team that makes it to the championship game. So both Houston-Tillotson and Talladega, remember they went last year, but Houston-Tillotson will join them regardless of who wins the game. Now, they matched up early in the tournament, and Talladega took care of business, winning on a 10-run rule in that matchup against Houston-Tillotson. I'm sure they're gunning for the rematch to see if they can force a game 3 in terms of what it looks like. Then you also have the fun fact, on the other side, we have Stillman facing up against Dillard. Now, this was interesting to me. On the softball side, they play the best 2 out of 3, kind of what you see for the World Series on the college side, as well as for softball on the NCAA championship tournaments. I hadn't really seen that much at the collegiate level for the tournaments. But fascinating that in the HBCU for the women's softball tournament, they do that's 2 out of 3. Now, what's fascinating to me is the force teams get in the championship, you got to lose 2. Well, Dillard beat them once before, And now they got to beat them 2 out of 3, so really 3 or 4 times. So that's fascinating to me. And I was curious why they didn't do maybe like more of a SWAC format for those that are familiar with on the baseball side, where you have essentially 2 brackets and you double elimination out of those brackets, and then you play a championship game. And in that case, a single game. I do like the double double 2 out of 3, I should say, not double, but 2 out of 3 for the championship. But it's fascinating how they did the format. The other thing I want to give some credit for to HBCU, and I really want to kind of get your thoughts on this, Charles, is the fact that they started the tournament on Saturday. Now, starting the tournament on Saturday, fascinating to me because everybody gets the chance to travel. You get in there Saturday, so you have a lot more folks that know their team is going to play in terms of the top 8, and they'll play Saturday. Then you can stick around maybe for a Sunday, get back out of there for work. And those for the championship game, people come in or stay there or whatever. Now, if you're going to do that for basketball or even for baseball, softball, if you would, in the Division I level, you would have to do kind of what you see with OVC. And some of the other teams, how they oftentimes start their tournament a week before, on that week, and they tend to get a little extra time if they happen to be playing OVC or whatever. But you see that format. If you're going to do that, that's the way you would have to do a 2 out of 3 to get Saturday. Because remember, the current format is you basically play your championship on Saturday, Sunday at the worst, so you're prepared for election Sunday. For baseball, women's basketball day different, obviously, because of the way they format it. But for the men's side of the basketball tournament, everybody's excited about Selection Sunday. So that's the challenge for you to use that. You would have to start the week before. So I want to kind of get your thoughts on that before we get into some more news, because I loved it. It was fascinating, but it was different. And I had to kind of wrap my head around a lot of the things in terms of what that looks like. What say you, Charles?
Well, I mean, when I take a look at it, is it a sort of a setup to where you get more fans to come in on the weekend? Is that one of the?
I mean, that's just my general thoughts, particularly HBCU cultural fan, black fans, and really anybody. Obviously coming in on a Saturday is much easier because at worst you're taking off a half a day on Friday, right, to get going. And so with that being said, that's why I kind of like it, because you're maximizing your weekend versus a championship game. Yeah, everybody might follow, but really you're just having the 2 championship teams and the local fans that want to come out and see a championship game. If you have everybody playing to start things off on a Saturday, and the next day you have 4 games, basically, you have a lot more opportunity for the fans to come in and say, hey, I'm going to make a weekend of this.
Sure.
Get me several games in, including my team if they're top 8, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I was saying it was a little different and something I was like, I didn't kind of think about that strategy.
Yeah.
So, yes, to answer your question, I think it would lend the ability to have more fans coming in early for the first round game.
When is I guess the selection show, if you will, for the NAIA, or
they don't
have those parameters
necessarily having it on a Sunday. I know that much.
Okay.
For basketball, remember during the basketball season, that selection was Thursday, right during after our show for men. So as far as I know, I don't know specific for baseball and softball, but they're not like the NCAA. In fact, I imagine they try to get away from it so they won't have a direct competition of that day. So as far as I can tell, there's no framework in the NIA, which makes it easier for them to make the decision, because they literally can go into that weekend before that selection week, if you would.
Yeah.
But you would need a little more thought process if you're going to make it. But again, it's not like in terms of at least basketball, it's not like some teams do it already. Like you said, the OVC, there's several teams, the Mountain West, the West champion, they play. Remember, that's championship week. So you have teams all week literally crowning their championships leading up to that Saturday.
Yeah.
So a lot of teams actually play early, as early as the week before. weekend before. When I say the week before, all during that week. So it's not unheard of to start your season early, which the clearest example, because we follow Tennessee State and I'm very familiar with them doing it for a while, but this year was really intriguing because we all watched it. We, HBCU fans watched Tennessee State playing for the OVC championship. And again, congratulations to them. They got it done. But to me, that was extremely fascinating to look at. Something I didn't say is that actually playing your games that weekend, OVC, for what that matters, they set it up the week before. They still played their championship game on Saturday. So they started that Tuesday, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying they could have played Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday for the early rounds, meaning their championship game would have been Tuesday or Wednesday, which that's championship week. So then, ESPN would be happy with that because that gives them more days that they can crown a champion. So it's not a big deal in terms of the basketball format. Sure. Now, baseball would be a different because you have to start the season early, a week early, or you would have to go from 30 games to potentially, playing, 10 teams to playing maybe 9 games so you can have a week early. So there's some more dimensions when you think about it for various sports that you need to consider what that looks like. But I guess my overframing is not to get lost into just the scheduling matrix, but the idea is that something that needs to be considered about finding a way to have more buzz about early games and maybe generating additional funds associated with fan interest of being able to go to games because it's set up on a weekend where traditionally people would be more likely to travel versus a middle of the week, particularly if the team's not there, to go see early round games.
Yeah, it is a different framework. I mean, in terms of starting it on the weekend, and like you said, for the HBCU consumer, is it more advantageous to start on, especially taking a look at baseball, softball? Is it more advantageous as far as crowds because the year in year out, this is something that we talk about in terms of the crowd size. At the various baseball or softball tournaments. So that's a different sort of framework of looking at it.
I think we might have Bryan sneaking in here. I'd love to get his thoughts on this. Yes, just in time. See, I do the magic motion and he shows up. Boy, Bryan, you're really good at what you do. I'm sure you heard some of our conversation. Hey, man, I just like to call it like I see it. Particularly after y'all kind of choked me out on Sunday night. It held true. Prairie took care of it. But thank you. But the real action happens in this tournament, which is going to be fascinating. I wonder if going that extra day and travel, would that have any effect on the team? But obviously, in terms of seeding being in place, you really need to take care of it. So I believe the SWAC made the right decision. And those Prairie View, and kudos to the athletic director to make sure that he funded that additional trip that's not in the budget. But Bryan, more importantly, what are your thoughts in terms of discussion? And I might have heard AD mention it quickly, but I don't think y'all really talked about it. What are your thoughts of considering a format that has the start of the tournament on the weekend versus ending with the championship game on a Saturday or Sunday?
We're talking baseball, correct?
It could be any sport. You could do it in basketball as we kind of went through our thing. OVC plays a week early like a lot of other teams. Mm-hmm. But even though they play a little early, they start the tournament literally the week before. So they still end the championship game on Saturday. But in this format, like you see with the West Coast, they kind of do it. There's several teams, if you think about it, and you probably don't focus all that much about it, but a lot of teams have their championship games throughout that week.
Yes.
Which means they're not starting where the game ends on Saturday or on Sunday, regardless if it's that week or the week before. My impetus is people start. We've seen this. People start. The question is, does it bear some thought consideration to play on a weekend so you can get more fans to go to a tournament?
So it's an interesting thought because you're referring to the Saturday, Sunday opportunity, or maybe even a Friday, Saturday Well, I don't know why you wouldn't play on a Sunday. So really, you would go Friday and Saturday at that, or maybe a Saturday Sunday. Doc, I think that's a great question. Because part of me wants to say destination and travel used to matter, but I don't know if it matters anymore. I mean, because I see other conferences do it, like you mentioned. I mean, people will find a way to go if they're really invested, regardless of when it is.
Yeah, I guess my question is we know that people go championship games.
Yeah.
But when you go to championship games, it tends just to be the teams playing in the championship game.
Yeah.
Right? And it works out because it's a Saturday or Sunday, so folks are going, particularly if it's in driving distance. Some may have the ability to fly in. But I guess the question is, instead of having two fan bases going to Saturday to drive in to watch a championship game, now you would have 8 fan bases coming in on a Saturday to watch a series of games.
I'll be honest and say I haven't really given it a whole heck of a lot of thought, Doc. You threw me a curve on this one.
Yeah, I love it. That's what I do in the lab, Charles. See, that's what I do. Exactly. Professor. I always want people to be thinking out scenario. So
I mean, it is good to think. I mean, it is good to think. I think maybe you'll see an uptick in attendance. Definitely. Like I'm curious to know what numbers have been kind of in the model in which it has been presented. Has there been maybe a level attendance numbers? Do you see a slight growth towards the end? Because
I can tell you because we follow this. Usually, if you have teams that make it to the championship game that are within driving distance, for example, Jackson State played Grambling, whether it was baseball. We've seen them in women's basketball, men's basketball, play Grambling, play Southern. They're not there all week. They find out that they make the championship game on Friday after a big win, whether it's the noon game or the late game. They put their work together, and you will see Jackson State fans. You will see Southern fans. You will see Alabama State fans. When the tournament is in Houston, guess what? Prairie View and Texas Southern end up in the championship game. Guess what? You had great attendance for the championship game. Mm-hmm. So if your team is in the championship game, there's enough lather that if you are within a driving distance, you're significantly going to get, fans. Obviously, those fans that may be a little more organized travel better. You might get a slip tick. So you're going to get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 fans to a championship game. The question, I guess, that I'm trying to get people to think about, and it's so unorthodox, it's hard for people to wrap their head around it. If you're putting 8 fan bases that are within driving distance for a Saturday game, would this still hold true? Are your fans just coming because it's a championship game, or are the fans coming to support the team because it's on a Saturday where they can get to it? They're going to come. That's the question.
Is it economically better for all of the other teams? Because if we're talking 8 fan bases, essentially you're referring to the Final Four, the semifinals. No.
What I'm talking about is, this is really interesting. The current format, they start the tournament, or at least this year they brought everybody. So let me go back to when it was just 8 teams. They would start the tournament on Wednesday. Right. 4 teams would play on Wednesday.
Right.
I mean, 8 teams would play 4 games.
Right.
You would have 4 women, 4 men's. On Thursday, you would have 4 games. 4 games, 8 teams. Yep. 4 women, 4 men, right? It wasn't until that Friday where you got to the semifinals because the people start falling off.
Gotcha.
So all I'm saying is you shift everything. Instead of starting on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you start on Friday, Saturday, or you start on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Means the championship game would be on Tuesday. I'd imagine championship team, your two teams, for the most part, people gonna show up regardless.
Yeah.
Because you're in the championship game. I want this. You're gonna show up. Driving distance, show up. But now I'm getting more people tend to show up for Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday than would if it's on a Wednesday. We know, unless you're local, you have decent crowds usually around the noon game because folks will take off for lunch, and you have decent crowd if you're home team and local for the night game, whenever your team. But it's usually again just team. But now Saturday, everybody goes.
You know,
so I'm gonna let y'all ponder on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I slipped you a curveball, and y'all can't wrap your heads around it. So now y'all have homework. Maybe on Thursday we'll ask you to come back, Brian, if you can slide it in here. Charles is dedicated, so he has much choice. So I'm gonna let y'all opine on it. Go lose your data, come back with your homework assignment, and tell me in more detail what are your thoughts. Thank you for your time. Let's take our first break. Come back. We'll go over the mid-major poll after this first break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Test the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Yeah, I like it. Edwin Moore said, no, that wasn't a curveball. He said that was a knuckleball at the knee.
That was a knuckle curve. That was dancing. It had a lot of dance on it.
got you swinging to the point where you like drop to a knee, but you're like, what the hell was that? You know, yeah, thanks, Doc.
Yeah,
remember that pitch Bugs Bunny threw?
Yeah.
Everybody swing and miss.
Like I said, I'm gonna give you a little more time to befuddle that and think about it and go do your homework a little bit. Good conversation for the lab listeners. I appreciate you, Edward. putting that in there, and the other folks that are chiming in as well. Let's get into the poll rankings without further ado, since we are talking softball and baseball for that fact, since that time of year. Getting little updates there as we get into this. Let's get into the top poll and pull out. Nobody dropped out this week. Not really a lot of changes, so we'll run through this pretty fast. Receiving votes this week, Edward Waters. Tigers sit at 26-18, 15-9. Stillman Tigers 23-18, 19-2. Let's get into the top 5 this week. We do have a little change in terms of the order, if you would, for teams here, which was Claflin Tigers sit at 23-12, 11-1. They were in the 4th spot. They do slide with 34 points. Less to do with what they did. They played well this past weekend as they get ready for their tournament. But Dillard Blue Devils are really hot, 25-13, 19-2. And as I told you, they will be playing for a championship, HBCU AC. There's 2 out of 3 that starts tomorrow, so it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like.
Love that.
They were 5 getting into it. Let's move up to number 3. We're going to go back to Division 2, but now in the SIC, where you have Savannah State Tigers, 26-15, and 16, I should say, 15-9. 42 points, and they stay at the 3 spot. Bringing us to number 2. Albany State Golden Rams, 33-9, 19-5. One first place vote, 58 points, and they are number 2. And then you have Tuskegee Golden Tigers, sit at 32-7, 21 points, 6 first place vote, 68, number 1. And as the SIC tournament would have it, Tuskegee was upset with a pitching duel. Pitchers went off, 1-run game. So things may change next week, but they still have the rest of the tournament. I would imagine somebody that's a number 1 seed, that's the type of team, after winning it last year, that may have the depth to fight out of the loser bracket, as we call it. But with that being said, let me go to you first, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 5 in week number 7 as we start to look to close down the softball season as we're tournament time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with the top 5. That was just such a shocker to see Tuskegee lost that opening round game to Fort Valley. So yeah, they are going to have to come from what do they call it, the consolation bracket or what?
Yep.
Or,
Losers.
Yeah, so it's
Losers bracket. Yeah,
losers bracket. But that just caught me off guard. I had to look at it twice to be sure I was reading it right. But because Tuskegee's had such a banner year, but no problem with the poll this week.
Yeah, you raised your eyebrow, but I'm glad you said I'm okay because everyone was dancing with me too. I was like, what are you trying to say there? But it worked out. Good job, Charles. We'll keep your mic on. Raymond down there, you don't have to turn off his mic. I know I gave you that little update before, but he's doing well. Let me go to Brian in terms of his thoughts here. Brian, what are your thoughts on the top 5?
No complaints. I think it is interesting that, boy, is it really going to shake out in an interesting manner, probably in about, 24, 48 hours, because the top 3 teams all have to go through each other in the next day. You got Tuskegee and Albany State playing each other right now, rain-delayed game, which they'll pick up tomorrow. The winner advances to play Savannah State. The loser is done. Wow, talk about that, an early exit. And then, like you said, Dillard playing a best of 3, which, by the way, props to the HBCU AC for that format. I love that. I actually love that.
I agree.
And Dillard we look at Dillard as the 4. I mean, it's conceivable if Dillard takes care of business, we could be looking at Dillard as the number 1 team come next week. I mean,
that's a good point. Especially with things the way stuff opened up in the SIC. I'm with you 100%. Great point.
Yeah. So I think it's fascinating. It's and it'll be interesting to see. And then of course, the CIAA, they've got some interesting matchups coming up this weekend. And so that will sort of settle itself out as the top 2 teams on the North play a doubleheader. I think it's either somebody plays a doubleheader on Friday and then the other division plays on Saturday. I forgot which one. We talked about it on Sunday. But even that in the CIAA will sort of shake itself out a little bit going into their tournament. Fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. Good comments. Really fascinating what's taking place in softball. And these tournaments are hot. Again, kudos to the HBCUAC. Just doing it a little differently and working it up. We'll see. Sometimes flattery is sincere when you copy it. We'll see what other folks think. We'll see what it looks like. And maybe we can get the fans to talk a little bit about it and see, a little poll to see what their thoughts are in terms of would that change the dynamic for them deciding to make a trip to a destination. With that being said, let's take our second break. We'll come back on the other side, talk major division to see some showdown there. Give us the chance to talk about some teams clinching divisions. We already talked last week with Howard clinching the MEAC. And little tease, there's a change in terms of the number one this year based on what took place in the MEAC this week. Surprise, surprise. Howard took it to the chin a little bit. We'll be back on the other side and talk a little bit about the major division poll rankings and see what these two gentlemen think about the rankings.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
And we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
Now, what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you've got to make sure they're properly funded. The real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay. That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot.
That might be. It could be.
Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Press the analytic data with the hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and Bryan Fulford. These brothers are in the studio ready to give us their thoughts on the top 5. As I teased out, there is a change at number 1, but there's also a change in number 2. There's a new team in the poll. So going down this last week before we get in the tournament, we've probably had the most jumps within the top 5 I've seen on the softball side in many years. Without further ado, let's get into dropping out. Dropping out was Jackson State Tigers, 24-21, 16-8. They had a tough weekend to close out their season, but great competition. But they will be in the tournament. They'll be a tough seed as they look to defend their crown. That being said, those receiving votes. You have Jackson State right at the top at 24-21, 16-8. You have Norfolk State behind them that's moved up a little bit, 22-19, 12-9. Remember a couple of weeks ago, they were top 5. They kind of played even ball, fell out, but they had a big series against Howard this weekend where they took 2 of 3. Delaware State Hornets, 26-16, 15-6. They've played really well of late, and they should be a tough one in the tournament as well. Then you have South Carolina State Bulldogs, 20-19, in terms of 12-9 overall. As we say that, let's get into the top 5. As we get into the top 5, we have number 5, Texas Southern Tigers, Lady Tigers, playing some really good base softball to close out the season. 25-10 is their record. 14-6, 71 points should be 5th place as they go in the tournament. Looking at things, they've usually finished the season at number 2. A little change this year, but maybe playing some of the best softball they played going into the tournament in a while.
Yeah,
interesting to see. They seem to have a little more pop. They have always had the pitching. But it'll be fascinating to see, can they hold up when they face off against the East, particularly those first round of games. This one would be one to keep your eyes on. And number 4, you have Prairie View and Panthers. They were 2, as you see. They dropped as they were swept by Southern. They did get a chance to bounce back and at least go in the tournament feeling probably a little better about themselves. They had to play some games they didn't play early because of rainouts, and they went up to Pine Bluff. They scheduled for 3, but once they won the first 2, the first one was a run rule game. The seedings were done, so they didn't play the third matchup and allowed Prairie View to come on back. So Prairie View sits at 27-17, 19-4. They hold on to a first place vote, which is fascinating to me. Might have to call Mike and see what he was thinking about. 75 points. They were 2. They dropped accordingly. Shout out to the players, particularly Coach Bland and the assistant coaches. That's 4 in a row in terms of the West Division crown. This was probably the toughest one they've had in a while, but they hold on and get it done. Bringing us to number 3. This is where we see some changes even more than we just saw there. Howard Bison, previously number 1. They fall 25-17, 18-3. They hold on to 2 first place votes. Some people say it was a little anomaly. They probably kind of melded in and just were checking on things as they lost 2 of 3 to Norfolk State. 78 points is the points they come into the tournament. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. That game was in DC, though, just to give you some thoughts.
Yeah.
Ring number 2. When you look at number 2, we have the Southern Jaguars, 32-13, 30-plus wins, 18-6, 3 first-place votes, 83 points. They were not ranked, but after sweeping Prairie View, that was previously ranked 2, they do jump into the poll rankings. And number 1 is Florida A&M Rattlers. I think your producer he slid on past it, the boy Florida and Rally.
I know. I saw that. I noticed that. I'm like, wait a minute. That move awfully quick. I noticed that. Boy, I tell you what. These
28-19, 19-5.
These new producers you got back there working, Doc. I tell you.
Man, they trying to teach you a lesson. I told you got to be nice to your producers.
Bryan bringing in trouble.
Exactly. 84 points. They were ranked 3 and they jumped up all the way to 1. I want to say a couple of things before I jump in there. Usually I wait to the end, but I'm going to do this before so you'll have these thoughts as you get in. You know, I like to go back. Early in the seasons, we get some of these crossovers. You heard me talk about a couple of weeks ago about Howard when they made the leap. We talked about the fact between them and Florida A&M, I think was a little bit of the buzz. And they had split between the two. But I said this, but I'm not sure if anybody was really focused. Howard lost to Southern 8-5, which Bryan has tried to tell those that would listen that the West may be a little different than it normally is in terms of at least its depth. We'll see what that means in terms of the quality. But I think that was part of the reason in terms of just losing 2 out of 3 to Norfolk State, a team that wasn't ranked at this time of the season, but Southern beating a team that was ranked. FAMU getting and closing out their season with the series wins. Those are a combination that put FAMU number 1, Southern number 2, Prairie View 4, even though Prairie View does win the West. I think Southern, in terms of the last week statement, even though Prairie View, swept Southern earlier, you got to believe that Southern's one of the hottest teams going in the tournament. Yeah. I'm going to start with you, Bryan. Since it happens to be your rally as the number 1 going in the tournament, is this the curse or is this the blessing of just the early anointment of what's going to happen in this really fascinating SWAC tournament?
Yeah, no. Congratulations to Coach Beal and the Lady Rattlers, 3-time SWAC East Division champions. Second time for Coach Beal. Really excited about the way this team battled. Great series against Jackson State. The Tigers came to Tallahassee. They pushed us, which the heart of a champion. That's what they're supposed to do. 2-time champs, and they're gonna be a mess to deal with. Glad we hopefully don't have to deal with them early. But the West is very intriguing to me.
Very.
I told you the numbers last week, what they said, and they kind of backed themselves up this week. Watching what Southern did, outstanding,
17-0
at home this season. That's impressive.
Yep.
And then each one of those games against Prairie View, I think it was 2 one-run games, and one game was a two run game. Yeah. So the crazy part is, good thing, that's why I was jokingly, only semi-jokingly, telling Prairie View fans to be a little worried going into the weekend about UAPB because Southern is the hot team. Unfortunately, they didn't do they needed a little bit more. They needed help basically, and they didn't get it. So it just sets up. And I think did Texas Southern have to play that last game?
No.
Okay, so in theory, you could have. They didn't play it, but Texas Southern could have won 18 conference games. They were 1 game shy, if I'm not mistaken, but it wasn't necessary because regardless, they were stuck in a 3 spot, so it wasn't necessary. Right. But you think about that for a second. 3 teams. I'm gonna give Texas Southern the win. I know they didn't have to play it, but they had to play UAPB. They probably would have won that. So I'm giving props to Texas Southern. Yep. 3 teams out of the West with 18-6 records, and Florida A&M on the other side with 19-5. All the West has to do now is back it up in the tournament. I gotta imagine on the bracket side. I'm trying to think if I recall how it works. Who Florida A&M might have to play in the second game, assuming that they take care of business in the first game. It would probably end up being
2-3.
2-3.
So they play 4, so they would play 2.
Yeah. So then probably Southern.
Yep.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Well, I only say that because I hate, you got to, I think you'd have to play them somehow. The hot team is Southern. You'd have to play them eventually, probably. Maybe Southern not being at home will matter. So at least they're not at home. Nobody's at home. So it really is the second season. And we'll see. It'll be fascinating. But, I'm gonna end my little take here and say props to the SWAC West for doing their part to make the playoff tournament look kind of interesting. They're going to have us on our toes.
Very much so. Let me ask this question, Doc.
Sure.
Like, who does Florida A&M not want to see in terms of an opening round matchup? Who does Prairie View not want to see?
Probably much like FAMU. In that second round game, FAMU doesn't want to see Southern, and Prairie View doesn't want to see Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
It will be the 2 seed because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker, I believe, against Bethune-Cookman, winning 4 of the 6 games. So it's just going to be a hot tournament. You're going to
it's going to be a hot tournament. I don't want to be a preacher of the moment, but in what year has it been this much parity?
I hadn't recalled this much parity ever.
Okay.
When
that's ever.
I wouldn't. I always like to kind of go back to expansion. 12-team expansion because I want to remind folks you do have the expansion late in the 90s with the 10-team expansion, a split in 2 divisions high, and usually you had the depth. Maybe one division may have 3 teams, the other one have 2. But you could argue that both divisions have 3 deep. You might want to argue the East is 4.
Yeah.
In terms of that. So, and then everybody has, just like in baseball, softball, usually your starter. We saw this with Pine Bluff yesterday. That game was close until Prairie View exploded for 6 runs in the 6th inning. So the first part of that game was just 1-0, and it was just back and forth. I mean, you get those kind of matchups, and then you think about it, you put the nerves of the tournament on top of it.
Yeah.
Even your 1 versus 4 is going to be a tough game. You'd hope you can maybe stretch it out and get to, the back end and give yourself a little wiggle room in terms of your nerves. But no, that's the beauty of the softball tournament. You go in there, you have good teams. You've earned it from the regular season in terms of your division. But it's a new day. You're going to play. Everybody's tough, and it's tough. Baseball, you might be able to get a little something. Even the starters used there, but that 1 versus 4, certainly the 1 versus 8. Now that they go to that format, a little more room in terms of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Not in softball when you're really just talking about 4 framework. So, if you want a reason to get into a little bit of softball, this is the year. To find out just how talented and sharp these teams are. I think for that to be said, the way things kind of shook out late, MEAC, Howard was rolling, but we just saw from this last weekend, there might be a little chinks in the armor. Delaware State is finishing very strong. I could argue at least the MEAC is probably 3 deep. Obviously, you give the edge to Howard, but I wouldn't be surprised if you get a little something going on there. It's just that way. Tournament time is that kind of thing. With that being said, let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. Because of the question of the day I asked everybody, do you consider, moving your tournament, whether it's SWAC or MEAC, where you start your tournament on a Saturday, and I give some people may even say Friday, and then you end your championship game on a Tuesday, if you would. Or Monday for that matter. That being said, we'll take our last break, but I wanted to make sure that we do our traditional moment of pause and silence as we've lost a coach of the SWAC, and so we want to make sure we do that. Then we'll get into a little more talk in terms of any other additional thoughts in the tournament. I think we did pretty well with softball, so we might turn the page and get into a little early baseball, but I will get closing thoughts for both of these gentlemen in terms of final thoughts going into the SWAC and MEAC tournaments, or any thoughts in terms of the SIC, even the CIAA, on the HBCU when we talk about Dillard Stillman 2 out of 3 format. And I'm with Bryan. Love it. We'll be right back after this last break and do just that.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
I'm Cameron Peters, quarterback of the Prairie View A&M 2025-2026 SWAC football championship team.
Here on 2nd and goal, Peters looking for some space and he runs into the end zone. The first score of the game goes to the Panthers.
As the offensive MVP and champion, when I'm not busy studying or practicing or spending time with my family and friends, I catch up on my sports highlights by watching Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Test the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a loss, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Pause. That one.
I see what you did there, Doc. I see what y'all did there, boy.
You like that, Bryan? You like that?
Oh, I'm so. It's tight. Tight work.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
We always teaching the game. You know, Charles talk about that. That's one thing that we do. Black College Sports Network, Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We like to do it a little different. We like to make sure that we teach just as much as we discuss and learn. With that being said, as I promised, I wanted to give a moment of silence for Monte Coleman, Super Bowl champion player and HBCU coach, dies. This is coming out at HBCUsports.com. Wanted to read for those that have not heard. Monte Coleman was a Super Bowl champion and coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and he has passed. He has become an ancestor. Coach Coleman represented everything we strive for at UAPB: excellence, integrity, and a relentless commitment to developing our student athletes, end quote. That's UAPB Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics, Chris Robinson, said in the statement, quote, his legacy is not only written in championships and honors, but in the lives he changed every single day, end quote. Coleman was an Arkansas legend, a product of Pine Bluff High School. Coleman began his collegiate career as a walk-on, think about that, at the University of Central Arkansas, where his determination helped him develop into a standout player. He later carved out one of the most durable and respected careers of his era in the NFL, appearing in more than 200 games while helping lead Washington to victories in Super Bowl, 37, 22, 17, 22, and 26. His professional accomplishments earned him a place in the franchise's ring of fame, recognizing him among organizations all time. Turning the page, Monte Coleman turned UABP into champions, and that's SWAC champions, of course. He had fans going back to the days when they were fighting for national championships at the NIA level amongst teams since Langston's and that really Central State team that many folks have remembered the champions they had, particularly Charles, probably in a little different way. But Monte Coleman turned UAB into a champion after retiring from the NFL. Coleman returned to his roots in Arkansas and transitioned into coaching, eventually leading the Golden Lions program. His most notable season came in 2012 when he guided UAPB to an HBCU national championship, one of the program's signature achievements. He went 40-71 overall at Arkansas Pine Bluff in 10 seasons at the helm. Beyond his success on the field, Coleman was widely regarded as a mentor to his players, emphasizing discipline, accountability, and personal growth. Coleman's influence extended well beyond wins and accolades, shaping many of lives around campus, both men and women, particularly with his players. With that, let's take a moment of silence before we get back into sports talk. Appreciate that. I want to go back to y'all and give a little bit of thought again in terms of you, Charles. Any final thoughts that you wanted to talk about going into this week as we start preparing for championships out of the SIAC, CIAA, as well as the HBCU AC? And then as you prepare to go into next week, as we start looking at championships in the MEAC and SWAC.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just touched on it, especially with regards to the segment looking at the SWAC in particular. I mean, just tremendous amount of parity going into that particular softball championship. So I'm really excited about, what could happen with regards to that. And then you pointed out, Norfolk knocked off Howard this past weekend. So that all of a sudden makes that MEAC softball championship a little more appealing. Because you thought Howard kind of was just going to, kind of mail it in there and, had easy sailing. So those two kind of stand out for me. And then, of course, HBCU AC, you got Dillon right there in the mix of things. So as they took game one. So, it's good ball being played. And I had an opportunity to talk to the softball coach at Texas Southern the other day, and she really talked about just the level of talent that has really jumped up around the country, especially with HBCU programs. So that's something that really kind of stands out for me.
Thank you for sharing it. Good job. Always getting those exclusive interviews. Good job, Charles. Bryan, your thoughts?
Well, I'm interested to see what the SWAC voters in softball do. I'm a little miffed at some of the voting decisions a year ago. But okay, we come back another year, and I'll see what the voters do, because again, I think the challenging thing is, what do you look at? Are you looking at, first off, I always wonder, are you looking at conference stats or are you looking at overall stats? Then you have East v East, West v West, and this is a year where we've traditionally thought the East was better. Well, I mean, on the field, they've kind of proven it, but they weren't winning the awards. The awards were going to the team from the West. So this year, I don't know. You got more teams from the West playing well. Maybe the voters will look over in the East and give the. I don't know. I'm fascinated to see what these voters do, because what I have found out and learned, and I'm a little bitter NBA vote. I'm bitter.
A little. We can hear it.
I'm bitter with voters. Speaking as someone who participates, and I take my job very seriously as a voter. Whatever poll I'm in, you're gonna get. You're not gonna get shenanigans from me. But I am curious to see what happens next week. We'll have Coach Brittany Beal on our show, the ONG, tomorrow night, along with a pair of seniors, Nariah Lee.
Don't lobby the votes in. Don't lobby. Just Her stats speak for itself.
I'm not lobbying anybody, Doc.
Oh, you
I'm
can
just
lobby.
saying-
You're a fan. You can lobby, even though you're supposed to be media. You on that side.
I
You
can
lobby.
be.
I will
do
say
both.
this, Brian.
I can do both.
I think we got to be careful though at times where if people don't think like us, then they're necessarily wrong. And I agree with you. Sometimes I'm out there. I'm like, what is wrong? Your mind don't work right. But I think when you're talking about voters, there's this framework where some people will look at a team that dominated. Because they dominated, they may lean towards them versus the other side where you said, well, somebody did it in a more competitive side. I think you can make the argument either way. I really say that it depends on your perspective. And I think your perspective is one, and I think it's a valid perspective. But to suggest somebody else's perspective, looking at it different, is not correct. I think it's a little.
I don't want to imply somebody is incorrect. What I do want to say is that, look, and it's great that, we see this. All candidates for Coach of the Year. I mean, some great coaches up there, right there in the center.
This is a list that came out in HBCU social media. I think this is when sometimes they're doing the best work. Top 10 black head coaches.
Right.
And you have, out of the 10, 6 of them are reserved coaches at HBCU programs, which tells you the value of HBCUs playing at the Division I, because these are all Division I programs.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa Young over there at Duke. Yeah, Brittany Williams at Southern. We talked about a great season. Vernon Bland had won the Coach of the Year for the second time last year, winning the Division 4 straight times now. Tori Tyson winning at Howard, really doing a good job back to back. Tierra Flowers out of LMU. Daniel Stockdale, Delaware State, playing some pretty good softball as well. You got Nakia Hall at South Carolina State. Brittany Ball of Florida A&M. Bell, I should say, excuse me. Bell, make sure I get that correct. Who's won it now for the second time. FAMU itself has won it 3 straight years. Kevin Montgomery out of Jackson State that won the SWAC title last year in a very classic fashion, and Tatiana Matthews at Norfolk State. So of the 8, you have HBCUs and 2 historically white college universities. Notice you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 women, 3 men on the list in terms of that. So kudos for women getting it done on the softball side, showing up. So I did want to acknowledge that, and thank you for pulling that up.
But let me go back to just what I think we're at a point where we talk about this so much, where all I ask is, and I hate to make it sound like defend your pick, but at least open the door and let us know how you. I mean, you don't. Your pick is your pick.
No, I agree with that. That's one of the things I love that we're able to do on the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, you all do a computer number, so it's what it is.
Right.
But over here, we are the voters, and we put it out there, and you literally get the ass, you all that vote in the poll, but have your perspectives of the outcome of the poll with the viewers. But the one thing I love, to your point, that you all get to share your rationale of why you rank your teams, why you agree with it or disagree with it, and you get to share, are you talking about overall? Are you talking about early losses or early wins? Are you talking about stats, how a team dominates? So I agree with you 100%. The criteria, and you get to talk about that.
Something that as we're moving into this world of college athletics where finances and financial watch this. We do this. This is talked about in the professional leagues where people earn bonuses and money based on getting these postseason awards. Well, we know very well, Doc, in coaches get bonuses based on winning coach player of the year and things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be surprised. Look, we're getting into this world of revenue sharing where student athletes are making a lot of money. I will not be surprised if pretty soon you'll start to see some of these NIL contracts and things of this nature start to be tied into your performance and making conference teams. And so when we start adding all of those things in, the integrity of the voters really matters. And the criteria of what you are voting and how you are voting matters. Again,
that might be why the SWAC decided to do the poll to try to add a little more integrity to the framework with voters that are going to be consistent and understand how they talk. And now these voters can go out, just like you see from the MP. They can share how they voted and why they voted versus just having the sports information director. So it sounds like the commissioners, to a degree, listen to that overall thought process from the fans, particularly some media folks, and even probably to some coaches. So great job. Maybe that's a case where your lobbying actually worked, bro.
Well, you know, like we say, if I stand on that milk crate long enough, and eventually somebody will hear me, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to get in this a little bit because we had a matchup between Bethune-Cookman and FAMU this past weekend. And in our message board, there was a guy out there for Bethune-Cookman in the second game that just trolled awesome pettiness as we talk about some of these rival matchups. And it's fascinating, the SWAC, because as long as history as the SWAC has, you really just had the rivals come on late. You know what I'm saying? The rivalries are different. They didn't like join the conference or start the conference together. You had Prairie View and then Texas Southern joins years later. You had Southern and Grambling joins later. You had Jackson State and then Alcorn joins later, and even Valley later than that. You have Alabama State and then Alabama A&M joins later. Obviously, FAMU and Bethune-Cookman join at the same time. So it's kind of fascinating when you talk about some of these natural in-state rivals that really makes SWAC fun, in my opinion. As they say, roughing the SWAC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jackson.
What'd you say?
I said thank you very much, Jackson State fan. equal opportunity. We pick on everybody.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna go there because y'all had to match with Jackson State FAMU and softball. They got it done, but Jackson State does make sure that they do not hold anybody unaccountable when they decide to show their fandom. Like, your fandom's not like ours. Watch. It's like, what? Who does that? Jackson State. I love. Baseball standings. FAMU loses 2 out of 3. As I was telling my story, is the guy after they run and put too much and 2 more points on the board, and they were, really had control of the game late. He goes up there, he unfolds, and he has this Bethune-Cookman flag, and he waves it. He waves it back and forth, and you can tell in the glimpse, because I took a picture of this. And if you look closely at the picture, because this is a video, but you take a close look, you have a young FAMU fan there. And you can tell he looks at that flag and he has this look of just disdain that I love. It's like, no, this is not right.
Daddy, how does he get to pull this flag out?
Right, exactly.
He looking like, this is our home. How does he get to do this?
Like, if he was a little older, he would have went and got that flag with a problem.
Right. You have to learn that. Yeah, learn that lesson. Well, you can't snatch other people's property, son.
Right.
No matter how bad you want to, you can't. It's not right.
So let's look at the top 8 teams. Valley 7-4. They have a 3-game lead, win and loss column over Prairie View. Jackson State just ahead of them at 9-12. Pine Bluff is 12-9. Grambling is 13-8. Alabama State is 13-8. These numbers look off as if you have a couple of extra games. I'm gonna go to d1.com and see what I
tell you, somebody over there at the SWAC office been playing around with the standings, and all of a sudden, we fall a game back, and all of a sudden now it's a 3-way tie. We the 3rd team in the tie. And I'm like, wow, who's over there running Okay, let me stop. So,
I think they have some of those games in there multiple times when they change.
yeah, and I don't think I don't think the numbers are right because I could have sworn we were
No,
only
they're
a game.
not. I'm finna get it correct for you. I know
Okay,
what it is.
because that's
Let
one
me,
thing. Don't get us. What?
Don't get Brian riled about that.
Yeah, I'm already on edge about all kinds of stuff tonight. So, shoot.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah, I think they had I think they had the standings right on Sunday night when I looked at them, and somehow something changed. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody messing with it. They, like I said, they play those games in there different times. So let me give you the top 8, and I was correct at the bottom, but it gets a little more interesting. You go up. So we had Prairie View, as I said, they're outside of the top 7, with Valley at 7-14. You have Jackson State 9-12. I want to take this one off because that's what we're talking about. It's a little off in terms of the standings. So you have Arkansas Pine Bluff sitting at 12-9. And as you go up, you see there's just a 1-game difference in these teams.
Mm-hmm.
You have Alabama State at 13-8. You have Grambling at 12-7. 2 of their games were counseled against Alcorn State. It's going to be fascinating to see how that may hurt or help them. You have Southern that is hot. They've won 10 straight games, Charles.
Mm-hmm.
A friend over there in Baton Rouge is Red Stick. He's pretty. He changing the tunes a little bit.
Yeah,
he's in the 4th slot right now, 14-7.
Over there,
just 3 games back of the top team. Texas Southern got back to their winning ways. They did lose the last one to Prairie View, but they took 2 big ones early. They sit at 15-6. FAMU sits at 16-5. They made sure they didn't get whipped, which is important. Instead of being down 3, they're just down 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Bethune-Cookman is at the top, 17-4. I know it's way too early, but that series against Texas Southern may be quite fun when you think about FAMU and Texas Southern, maybe for the 2nd seed. So, but we'll see how things play out. But that's where we are after week 7 in terms of pro rankings, which we'll give out on Tuesday. Obviously, Bethune-Cookman should stay number 1, but we probably will have some changes maybe a little bit after that, based on FAMU and Bethune-Cookman 1 and 2. That'll be a tease. But with that being said, let's go back in terms of the schedule. Matchups today, some way too early. Tease out, and then I'll get you out on this about your Friday, Saturday games coming up this week. FAMU at Grambling. Alabama State at Texas Southern. Southern at Mississippi Valley State. Alcorn at Jackson State. Alabama A&M at Prairie View. Those games, or at least one of those games, will be played in Chicago at Wrigley Field. So that should be exciting, even though 2 teams are record. But the way things play out, Valley and Prairie View play at the end of the season. Valley's about to hit a tough stretch. Prairie View may hit a stretch that they could get some things going. Ultimately, that last series between the 2 could depend on the 8th seed if it's not Valley and Jackson State fighting over. So keep your eyes on that. Arkansas Pine Bluff of Bethune-Cookman. Some good ones. SWAC TV games are Alcorn at Jackson State and Pine Bluff at Bethune-Cookman. Charles, any quick thoughts on what games excite you? You don't have to go into detail. We'll do that more on Thursday, but you can listen to it early. What are your thoughts?
Real quick, I think just playing at Wrigley Field, that's huge for Prairie View and Alabama A&M. So that one, of course, I'm caught my eye. But I think from a matchup standpoint, Alabama State coming into Texas Southern this weekend, that's going to be a fun weekend of baseball. Arkansas Pine Bluff, you get another opportunity to kind of show that you are in the upper echelon of the SWAC, taking on Bethune-Cookman this weekend down there in Florida. So that'll be a tough series. So I think you got some interesting ones. I think FAMU actually going to Grambling, it has piqued my curiosity as well.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, where are you? What games most stand out to you in terms of, at least as you're early? Again, we're going to invite you back on Thursday, so let's see if we can twist your arms we can get a little more detail and talk about this baseball and get your homework assignment. But early on, what's your thoughts on some of these key matchups and why?
Well, yeah, I am definitely eyeing that UAPB Bethune game or series. You know, can Arkansas Pine Bluff get a win? You know, I think Cookman has, and it's funny. I mentioned this to I know Coach Hernandez watches, so I love you, Coach. But I noticed that Cookman gets wins when Sanchez and Bacabello. Bacabello started game 3, and FAMU got to him, but you know you're not gonna beat Sanchez. Sanchez seems to be about as automatic as there is right now as a starter, right?
Good call. Yep.
It's the other two. Can you get, you know, especially the third starter? Can you get to Bethune? And if Bacabello, Tanner, I believe his first name, if you can get to him early, and maybe you can get, you know, a chance. UAPB. I mean, look, I watched a lot of that series with FAMU. UAPB is a good ball club. I mean, they're a very good club. So I think they're gonna come in and you know they're gonna give Bethune a run. I just think the baseball is gonna be so good. I think I'm more surprised if anybody sweeps a series now. At least among these top. You know, we're at that point in the last 3 series. These are the last 3 series of the season. I'd be really surprised among the top 6 teams because, I mean, look, you got UAPB, Bethune. That's a top 6 matchup. Southern Valley, I think, is interesting. Bama State, Texas Southern, FAM, Grambling. Those are top 8, all top 7 ball clubs, right? So I'd be surprised if anybody gets a sweep.
Even when you think about Valley, Prairie, and Alcorn, they always are good for one game. They play you tough, and if you can't scratch that out, you're gonna get that at least that one L, as you said, when you're trying to switch. Now it may be game 1 and 2 or 3, but they're always good to give you one tough one, whether it's the hitting coming through or the pitching being a barrel down, which is fascinating. I like where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it speaks to the level of talent, I think, in the conference now, that everybody's gotten a little better. I mean, because you can't just pencil in an automatic sweep anymore. We've seen that now with Valley, Alcorn, Alabama A&M last weekend with Jackson State took one. Yep. So, you know, it's very interesting to sit back and watch.
Yeah, good call. With that, I will pull you off and get your time. SoFlo Rattler say right now the Caribbean Semi-Pro baseball team of BCC, going back to the old days, is the team to be in the they are playing that well that you do question. Are they Semi-Pro? Yeah, they're getting it done, especially when you start thinking about what they've done in non-conference and holding it down. It's going to be fascinating to see. Closing out this season, can they get another regular season? And we know what happens in the tournament. It's a whole different storyline. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Follow us on Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Shout out to Brian. Thank you for joining us. Check him out tomorrow, O&G. We have our independent report the hour before they jump on and do their things. They bring in coaching interviews and certainly give you insights and information on the Rattlers over there at FAMU in Tallahassee. And then you check them out on Sunday as you close out your week or getting it started, whichever way you like to see it. They will do it on Sunday, and that's AD and Brian, always bringing a flavor that you can't get anywhere else. Again, this is us representing BCSN inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Shout out to Charles as he continues to bless the mic in multiple ways, getting it done. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon, Charles.
Of course.
Bryan.
Lecture.
Dismiss.